Hello, my name is David Murray and I am the Vice President and Partner of Holly Murray Distribution. Our prime product that we distribute is this, the Grayns Revolutionary Healthy Rice Cooker, the world's first and only rice cooker to take the sugar out of rice. And it even cooks pasta as well. So let's take a look. I'm going to cook some tikka masala today, British style. I'm going to show you how to do it. So here it is, the Grayns Revolutionary Healthy Rice Cooker, distributed by Holly Murray Distribution. Its functionality is simple. You simply use the rollable to choose the setting that you want to do, and it has a variety of settings to choose from, but today we're going to be doing medium grain rice. So if I go down to the bottom, click in, the default setting, it already has it in there, and we're going down to medium grain rice. So we're ready to cook. So how does it work? Let's take a look inside. So if you open it up, it looks like any other normal rice cooker. We have the pan here where you put your rice or pasta or even potatoes you can use this cooker for. But below it is where the magic happens. We have the funnel, and at the bottom of the funnel we have a metal ball bearing. Now this is what is used to drain out the excess starch from your foods, which also, when it's put into the body, develops into sugar. So that's how we make it sugar-free. But how does the ball bearing work? Just below this, we have an electromagnet. Now, the electromagnet operates during the cooking process and will rise the metal ball bearing so that it drains into this pit at the bottom. The pit at the bottom is just here. So if I pull it out, what we have is where the excess starch will go down. And what we'll do is we'll do a before and after. So before, you can see it's perfectly empty inside, there's no water or anything like this. And then I'll show you what happens when we use this rice cooker on the rice at the end of this cooking. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do 3 cups of rice going into it. Now I'm just using very basic basmati rice here, available anywhere, no brand necessary. And we're going to do 3 cups of this. Number 1, number 2, and finally number 3. Now, using the collection tray at the bottom, we're actually going to wash the rice. Now this is just to be effective and to be fair to the procedure, because of course if you wash the rice, then some of the starch will come out already, just like in Japanese traditional cooking, and for those that used to do the old way of cooking rice before the times of the rice cooker, before 1972. So we're going to give this a good old wash, make sure that most of the starch is out, so you'll be able to see there that it's a little bit cloudy, the water. We're going to make sure that we do this until the water is clear. So you can see just about the water's starting to get a lot clearer. So once this is done, we can get back to filling up the rice cooker and get to the cooking process. Now the easiest way to fill it up with the water is to use it in the basin itself. So if you just put the tray as it is and then put the water on, we're going to fill this up pretty much to the top, just up to the rim. So what you'll see is, and I'm going to have to do this using just one hand, but here we go. We have the water now up to just by where the actual handle for the lid is. So that's about right for 3 cups of rice, and you'll see why at the end of this cooking. So we have the rice washed, we have the water in, and now all that's left to do is actually turn it on. So we just put the lid down. You don't have to press it down, unlike normal rice cookers. This one is actually got a special safety mechanism of its own, so we don't need to clamp it down. And then all we do is push in on the button, and here we go. We're into the Revo Cook process, the 4-stage cooking process used by this rice cooker, and that's going to sit there cooking for roughly half an hour for this type of rice. So we're going to let that cook, and then we're going to see the results afterwards. So step 1 of the Revo Cook process is thermosense. The cooker is actually working out the perfect temperature to cook the rice and to drain out and melt out that excess starch. So the last few seconds of Revo Cook, and debond. This is now the stage where the starch particles are starting to be separated from the rice itself, and they're going to be drained into the pan below in a space of 4 minutes. This is where I like to start cooking, because we know that it's in the final part of the cooking the rice itself, or the pasta, if you wish to use pasta. So as I mentioned, I'm going to make some British Tikka Masala. So here we go. We've got the chicken ready. Let's get cooking. So, out of debond into trans-sud. You might not have heard it because of the sound of the chicken that's cooking over here, but the metal ball bearing has just been risen up by the electromagnet, and the starchy water is draining into the pan below. So I'm going to be a bit creative with my cooking right now. So make sure your chicken's nice and cooked, because I'll tell you what, if it's not cooked, you're going to be in trouble the next day. So you want to make it a nice brown texture on top, and if you want to check that it's okay, just chop one in half, make sure it's not pink in the middle. Now it's not traditional, but I'm going to do some interesting additions to my cooking. Bit of Liam Perrins, splash that on. Give that a nice sizzle on top. Little bit of pepper, always good to add. And here's some magic, some chili. Now I don't want to add too much because I don't want to blow my head off, but I'll tell you what, it really does add at the end of the cooking process. So we're going to splash that on there and make sure that it's smelling nice and Liam. Crikey, that is good. So we're going to let that go. And then we're going to add some tikka sauce. And finally, demoist mode. So it'll take a final 6 minutes to actually finish cooking the rice or pasta or whatever you're cooking, and then we're ready for some perfectly cooked rice, pasta, potatoes, whatever you've done. Now it's at this point that you would normally add some yogurt. However, I checked the fridge earlier and I don't have any. So what I've substituted it with is just a bit of milk. It does the same sort of thing, it will give it the extra texture that you want, and I've whacked in some peppers as well, some red and green peppers, just to, you know, add the extra iron for my body and make sure that it's nice and tasty on the dish itself. So this is starting to simmer really, really nicely. And good news, if we look over now, we've got the green light and completed. So our rice is ready to eat. So here we go, the moment of truth. Now it's quite hot inside the cooker, so I would recommend using the spatula provided to lift the lid from the side up. So we open it up, see the steam coming out of there. Now the first thing you'll notice is that this rice, you can probably tell in the camera, is very, very white. Now if I lift it out of the case, it's going to become even clearer. So again, I'm going to use the spatula, lift it up, and just bring it into the light. So you can see there, that is some brilliantly, brilliantly white rice. Now let's take a look inside at the pan itself. Now you'll notice that there's brown marks around the pan itself. That is sugar. So in the melting process of the cooking, the trans-sud and the debond, the starch that has come down has actually hit the hot plate and developed into sugar. So that there smells like sugar, and when you wash it, it feels like it's coming off like sugar as well. So that's why it's brown, and that's why it's on the pan itself. That is excess sugar. And finally, let's take a look at the excess starch below. Now be careful at this point because of course it is very hot, and against what I normally say, I'm doing this one-handed, so bear with me. Now rolling it out, you'll notice immediately that there's this white stuff around here. Now that is most likely, believe it or not, wax. Because when rice is stored in the factories to stop rats and rodents from eating it, it's covered in wax. So what we have taken out of this rice is not just the sugar, not just the starch, but also wax, believe it or not. So that's what we're seeing there. And below, it's actually steaming quite a lot, but we have the water. Now, you'll be able to see, it's still very, very hot, of course, but it is very misty. Very, very misty indeed. And you'll be able to see little bits flying around. That is your excess starch. Now remember, we actually washed quite a lot of the starch out at the beginning of the cooking process, so this is additional after washing your rice. Absolutely incredible. You wouldn't believe it until you see it just like this. So very finally, I'm just going to take it out, this lovely white, fluffy, bouncy rice, and put it into my bowl where I'm going to have my lovely tikka masala to go with it. That's absolutely gorgeous rice, perfectly white, beautiful texture, really fluffy, and you know, I've made so much that it's probably enough for 4 people. However, the great thing is that without the sugar, this rice can last for up to 2 weeks if you refrigerate it. So this rice, even if you've got excess, you don't have to throw it away. How good is that? So there you have it. That's how to use the Grayns revolutionary healthy rice cooker. And today I've done a tikka masala. I've got to be honest, the tikka masala did not quite go as well as I hoped. Maybe I should use some yogurt next time. But the rice itself is beautiful. It's fluffy, it's white, and very, excuse me, very, very tasty. You know, normally if you have a mouthful of rice, you're going to get that instant feeling of satisfaction. That's when the starch is hitting your mouth and you chew it for enough period of time and it breaks down into glucose. And you know, if you do that with this rice, you can try it, do the 3-minute test where you just put a spoonful or a forkful of rice into your mouth, the Grayns rice into your mouth. You will find that that sensation of sugar is not there. And in fact, when tests were done on 8 different people, including diabetics and non-diabetics, male and female, the average across the board was that people's sugar level was reduced by 30 to 35% by eating Grayns rice compared to rice made in a conventional rice cooker. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the way forward, and this is how the rice of the future looks today. So, thank you for watching, and if you don't mind now, I'm going to continue to enjoy this, and well, maybe not the tikka masala, but I'm going to enjoy the rice, and join me next time, where I'm going to be doing pasta in the revolutionary health cooker. So thank you for watching. I've been David of Holly Murray Distribution, and stay healthy.